Hello and welcome back to Listen to This, a podcast about music, for music, and everything in between. I'm Danny.
And I don't know, Napoleon?
You suck.
If you want to start that over, feel free. Otherwise, I'm Alex.
Oh my god, no, we're keeping that in there for a story that no one is ever gonna... Well, actually, no, I'll quick tell the story. So long story short, I was on Brady, and I wasn't really drunk, but you know when like people start coming up and talking to you and you're like half listening, like okay, but they like are very persistent. Well, I'm wearing my Halsey hat, and it says from heaven to hell and back again, or something to that effect. And this one person read it to me and was like, oh, who said that? And I went, I don't know, Napoleon, just like, because I'm like, I don't know you, bro. So I'm like, I don't know. And he was like,
no, your hat.
Yeah. I'm like, oh shit.
Out of curiosity, I'm actually not sure what that has to do with Halsey. Are those lyrics or a song title? Or?
I know I got this hat for her Hopeless Fountain Kingdom, and that was kind of the whole thing is, like, what can bring you to heaven but take you to hell? Love.
Oh, and here I thought
drag you through hell.
I thought that was just about Romeo and Juliet. I can't keep up. Anyway, I'm Alex.
Anyway, oh my god, yeah. So we came into this not really. Well, we kind of have a topic, but I'm assuming it's going to be a very word vomity episode again. Yeah, which we're so good at.
We hadn't really discussed the topic all that much, and then when we both said like, yeah, we can just chit chat, and we realized we both were going to talk a lot about the same subject anyways. So maybe this title of this episode will be themed. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how this whole train leaves the station.
But in the meantime, regardless, Danny, what have you actually been listening to lately?
Oh man, okay, so I got some news first. First off, happy Pride Month, because now we are recording on the 2nd of June, so it's officially Pride Month, so woohoo! Second, so this was going around TikTok for a while, and I just caught wind of it because I don't have TikTok still to this day. And Halsey was feuding with their label company, their record company.
Really?
Yeah, so they're just starting to go out on tour right now for If I Can't Have Love, I Want Power, which I'm going to go see in July, and I'm so excited. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so they were feuding more or less because she has more music to put out already, like gone through the whole quarantine and everything, and they're like, I have so much music I want to release, but I want to start my tour first.
Yeah.
So they started their tour, and now they're like, I want to start releasing this, and their record label, I guess, was like, no, you can't. And it all stemmed around how viral it could get on TikTok before they were going to be able to release the song. And so she kept posting on TikTok about, like, it would be in the background, but it was kind of just raising awareness that some artists don't have control over their music, and, like, they want to release all this stuff for their fans because they know that fans are waiting for it and stuff like that, but they can't. And a lot of just kind of BS logistical reasons just because of social media. So finally, Capitol put out a statement saying like, oh, we support our artists, yada, yada, yada. Uh-huh. Yeah. So now a new song by Halsey called So Good will be released June 9th. And I'm so excited because they already got the music video done. Yeah. It's them, her baby daddy, and then I don't know if Ender is in it, but it kind of is that stem off of
Ender,
her baby.
The baby's name is Ender.
Yeah.
Oh. I immediately go to Minecraft. Okay.
Immediately go to Minecraft.
The Enderman.
Now I'm thinking of Slenderman, and that's not what we need. But yeah, so I'm super stoked for that, and it's kind of interesting too because a lot of other artists started kind of tagging on to it more and more, and even Queen Herbie had to throw in like a little, like, almost a little shade on her Instagram where she was just like, oh, my record label doesn't like hold me back sort of deal. And I was like, that's great, but like,
who asked?
Yeah, exactly. Because I think she's self-produced, so I don't think she goes through a record label. And I'm like, yeah, but like, not all artists have that ability to do it unless you're like from TikTok, but that's such a new and up and coming thing. I feel like a lot of artists that are already in the record label companies and like their contracts, their masters. I mean, we all saw what happened to Taylor Swift.
Taylor, yeah.
So Of course, they're not going to be like, oh, I'm going to take my stuff and leave. They're going to have to stay with the record company or record label.
I have two thoughts on that. One, that whole record company, record label not letting you release your music. That's exactly what happened. I think I mentioned before in the past to Charlie XCX. Like, she had all these songs that she wanted to release, and they're like, well, you can't release an album because your most recent EP has only been out for a few months. We want to get traction out of that before you do this. Then you have to schedule it out to make sure you're not competing with like Ed Sheeran or Ariana Grande. Got to make sure it has time to itself, kind of thing. And she was like, that's bullshit. So then she just began releasing music as mixtapes.
Yeah.
That way it didn't have to be scheduled. It was like she could even post it for free if she wanted to. So I hear that sentiment. And then the fact that the record label said needed views on TikTok, that's actually what happened to 93 Feet of Smoke, one of the previously SoundCloud based musicians I listened to. He was posting on TikTok back when I still used it. He would post samples of a song saying my producer says I have to, my manager says I have to get so many views or so many shares on TikTok before I can officially release this song, so share it around. And at first I was like, oh, okay, that's a weird tactic to get people to share your music, but whatever. I mean, whatever works, I guess. But then he posted it again and again and again. Then someone even commented, this can't be real. Why would you have signed with a record label if they were going to restrict you like this? Why would you have gotten actual representation, like a management team to manage you if it would just screw you over like this? And he was straight like, I didn't know this was going to be a thing. I thought they were just going to help promote my music, not actually restrict it to when it suits their needs, kind of thing. And that's when I began wondering, is this actually a real thing? And then sure, if it happened to someone as big as Halsey, then I'm fully positive it could happen to someone as small as 93.
Yeah. And it's just interesting too, because like as much as record labels and managers are like, use TikTok and like get those likes, it's funny when they kind of turn the tables and they kind of call out like the record labels, because Capitol put out this huge thing that Halsey later put on their page, and it was just like, oh, we would never like restrict our artists, like we fully support them and their like aspirations and stuff. And I'm like, that is the most PR list you could put out. Ever. Yeah.
Your entire thing, and I'm not trying to bash all record companies or anything, but like at the core of what they are is a company built on capitalizing on someone else's talent or someone else's fame, at least. Whether or not someone's talented is up for debate, but their notoriety. The reason you want to represent them so badly is because you want to. Perhaps you have a heart of gold and genuinely want to help them out and get their message out there, but you also want to be making money in the process from what they're doing. So anything like that where like when something big and powerful is trying to brag about being selfless, I'm going to raise both eyebrows and go, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of sad seeing the whole Taylor Swift thing kind of like happen in smaller scales and like smaller circles where you can see the tailspin, but as a consumer of it, it's kind of hard to know what to do, because like you want to support the artists that you really like, but also too you don't want to support
any kind of abuse, quote unquote, that they might be going through.
Any kind of like weird just bar where they're just like, oh, we have to wait for this to be viral on TikTok. I'm like, it's just weird how much social media has come to like it always has influenced a lot of what we consume, like outside of it. But it's weird when you really see such a demand for something to have influence. Mm-hmm.
Which I guess actually, and again, we are speaking in umbrella terms here. I'm sure there are some companies that are genuinely helping people out or whatever, like for
That's the quietest I ever drank out of a straw.
I know. I was gonna go get a water bottle for this, but every time I'm recording, I'm listening to the audio for a project I'm working on. I'm constantly hearing myself snapping the plastic on the water bottle, and I'm like, no. I'm gonna hydrate beforehand. Anyway, I'm sure there are some companies that are genuinely good, respectful of their artists. Yes, making money on their own, but making it a very symbiotic relationship. But shit, I sidetracked myself. I forgot where that thought was going. Shit.
That was my fault.
No, you're good. You're saying using social media. 50,000 likes, but then you can clap back and call people out. Shit, it was gone forever. I feel like it was a very poignant statement, but whatever. I remember what I was gonna say.
Hurry, save it before the train leaves again.
I feel like because of that, because management companies are so regularly trying to use, influence, capitalize, whatever you want to say, social media and stuff, in a way that almost feels disjointed from what the point of social media was. Like, they're trying to use social media to generate hype when it should be like to generate hype for a future product, when it should be more so about, in my opinion, it should be more so about sharing a product that already exists. Because social media is going to talk about a musician or any kind of art, really. The social media that will talk about any kind of art is the fans of what that art is. Trying to draw in more people isn't going to work if you're not releasing the art.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to make people more hyped for this song if you can only hear 5 seconds of it? In theory, it could work. It certainly could. But more often than not, the artists I discover and I like are after hearing a whole song of theirs via the radio or a YouTube video where it was used, or what have you. And I feel like because of that, it's actually one of the biggest benefits to being an independent artist. Yes, you don't have an entire company backing you and promoting you, but you have so much more control over what your art is and where it goes and how it is presented.
Yeah.
I guess it's the ultimate trade-off there. And Halsey is just someone on her level. I'm sure she wouldn't have risen the way she did without a record label. Like that was very, very beneficial. Got her work with chain smokers and whoever. I was gonna say, but perhaps she'd be more in control of what she's allowed to do if she had stayed independent. But that's always way easier to say looking back. Like, hindsight's always 20/20.
You would never know how it'd play out either.
Yeah. I mean, how did Halsey start?
So they released the EP Room 93. Got signed, I think it was like an independent label because I didn't recognize the name of it. Okay. Released Badlands and then signed on to Capitol for Hopeless, Fountain Kingdom, Manic, and If I Can't Have Love, I Want Power.
Okay, so that's only their second record label.
Yeah.
Interesting. This might surprise you, but I'm about to talk about Blink-182.
No, really?
Like their whole origin story, being a SoCal pop punk band. At the time, they probably would have just been considered punk band, and playing local venues. And then their way of promoting themselves was giving a cassette tape to a local record store. The record store was like, yeah, I'll buy 100 of them. We'll see if they sell. Next week, I need 100 more. Next week, I need 500. Next week, I need more and more. And they got it out that way. Now, of course, obviously, they went on to sign on with a record label. Like, that's 100%. I'm not trying to say they're an indie darling or anything. But that kind of story, just Halsey's thing, it kind of reminded me of that. Starting off smaller. And, I feel like Badlands, from what you've told me, is a very... I'm sure most of their albums are, but Badlands is a very personal album.
Yeah, and I think it was one, too, that a lot of different fandoms got a hold of very quickly, because how I found her actually was through the 100s fandom. They were
That's a TV show, right?
Yeah, and a book series. They were quoting, oh, God, what one is it? Young God. They were quoting Young God. And then I clicked onto another one, which I think at the time was probably Infernal Devices. And they were quoting demons from Imagine Dragons. And then they were quoting, it's another really, really popular one on there, Colors. They were quoting Colors. And I was just like, I got to find this song. So I was teased with it for so long because no one would they would put the name of it, but they wouldn't put the artist. So I kind of had to go back and find enough of the lyrics to Google. Yeah. And that's how I ended up finding her. And it was funny too because I guess she was on Tumblr as well.
Oh,
so
really?
It's just, yeah, because she used to post her own lyrics on there, and she posted the weird middle part to Colors where it's you were red, I was blue, or yada yada. You touched me and I
was a
turned
lilac
purple.
sky, but you decided purple wasn't for you.
Yeah, and someone's like, you stole that from Tumblr. She's like, I'm on Tumblr. That was me.
I suppose I didn't really have a thesis to my rant in the middle there, but now I can't help but wonder how Halsey views that time. Views way back before being a global phenomenon. When there was the freedom to just post your art online.
Yeah, and the shows are more intimate and like more of the rave and less of like the Pfizer kind of style.
Yeah. Anyway, so what else have you been listening to lately?
Okay, so I went back home for Memorial Day, which those of you who don't know, I live like 2 hours away from here. I have this little Bluetooth connector that connects my Bluetooth to my radio. Died.
Wow.
So I had to listen to the radio for 2 hours. And I was like, okay, like I can get through this. It won't be that bad. And it actually wasn't that bad because they were playing throwbacks. But I started finding all the songs that like I haven't really heard either in a while or heard at all. And I'm like, okay. Out of like so many songs, like I pulled a few out that I like started noticing again. One of them was Bones by Imagine Dragons. It's kind of reminiscent of like Its Times. Like,
I love Its Time. That's
sort of like that era of them because all the other songs like Enemy, and there's another one that's out on TikTok right now. I cannot stand. They're so cringy because I can just imagine like some big burly guy being like, "What? I'm your enemy. Fight me!" Like that kind of bullshit. So it's super cringe.
Oof.
So I'm just like, I found Bones and I'm like, you know what? This one isn't bad. Like you don't have to pay attention to the lyrics that much, but it's a more upbeat song. So I'm like, okay, I like it. What else? Boyfriend by Dove Cameron. This one took over TikTok and now it's taken over the radio. Same with that little song. I think it's called like Little Bug.
Numb Little Bug.
Numb Little Bug.
By M. Behold.
Yeah. There was at one point, I'm not kidding you, I had 4 stations I was clicking through. 3 of them were playing that song at the same time.
Oof. I like that song, but that would definitely be an overload of, all right, guys.
I'm like, please, God. I had to listen to oldies for like 5 seconds, which was not bad because I think it was Depeche Mode that was on. And I'm like, okay, I can handle this.
I want the whole world to understand that Danny just called Depeche Mode oldies. Go on.
I mean, they're 80s. Don't give me that look.
Go
Just
on,
because
go
you're
on,
closer to the 80s than I am.
Yeah, it's true.
And then, so I heard a new rendition of Running Up That Hill. This one is by Kate Bush. I knew Running Up That Hill from Placebo, the like 2000s band. Love that song. That single-handedly got me into my emo phase. I'm not going to lie. That's what started it. But Kate Bush sounded familiar. Like her vocal sounded really familiar. And I couldn't think of how I knew her until I looked on my Spotify. The song I knew her for is called Cloud Busting. And I found that on The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, right.
So it's kind of interesting. Her vocals are so good, and this one is more like 80s synth instead of like Placebo's kind of grungy, slow burn song. So I really like it, except for she switches up the tempo of the lyrics. So if you know the song and you try and sing along, you're going to be wrong every time. When you think you're on track, you're off track already.
Interesting.
Just a warning. What other ones? Ghost by Justin Bieber. I know.
Oh, I actually didn't know the Biebs was still releasing music nowadays.
Yeah,
I figured he was.
Yeah,
but I didn't think about it much.
The only one I knew is from him recently was Stay with Kid Laroi. But then I heard this song and I'm like, you know what? This one isn't actually that bad. So I can take that. And quick mentions. Hurt by Oliver Tree. I'm finally jumping on that bandwagon.
Love Oliver Tree. I actually just heard him on the radio today.
Yeah, Oliver Tree is coming to the rave. Honestly, I can't remember the date. I just remember seeing the thing I remember seeing the promotion, and that's where I actually found the song Hurt.
Oh, yeah?
So I'm like, I really liked that song. Hayloft I'm going to call it 2 because there's technically a 1 and a 2 by Mother Mother. It's very reminiscent of Bang Bang, and I love it.
All right.
I love it a lot. What other ones did I have? I felt so because I was listening to Bones by Imagine Dragons, and it has the It's Time era in it. I started listening to Tiptoe again by Imagine Dragons. That song is so great when you have like earbuds in. You turn them up like as loud as you can handle it, and just like lay back. I love that song.
Yeah.
It's so bass heavy, and that's what carries it. And it's such a good era of Imagine Dragons, like before the fame kind of got to them a little bit.
Their first EP and first LP, I enjoy a lot.
Yeah, they're one of my favorites. And then last but not least, Love Letter featuring the Knox from Odessa. Because
Odessa.
yeah, the EDM group.
Yeah, they did something. Go on.
Well, the last one I know that they released was Line of Sight, which I really liked. And then someone showed me this one. And I'm like, oh, I like it even more. Like, I always kind of followed them since they were on Divergent's, like, motion picture soundtrack thingy-majig. So,
Divergence.
yeah. We were talking about fandoms. This is where I get majority of my music. Fandoms and Tumblr. And the radio, too. Every time I'm forced to listen to it for 2 hours.
I swear. No, I know you've talked about them before. Odessa, this is. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure I had the same thought process last time, so now I'm actually trying to look into it, where I thought that they had done something with, like, Dermot Kennedy or something.
That was Medusa.
Paradise with Medusa. That's who it was.
That's who it was.
Okay, my bad. All right, cool.
So that is my long list of things that I've been playing around with. How about you?
So, admittedly, I haven't been listening to all that much new stuff, but of the new stuff I've heard, there's an electronic duo called Hyper Potions.
I love it.
They're the way they represent themselves in their music is two corgis, cartoon corgis.
My God, that's adorable. And that one is wearing a beanie.
Yeah, beanie. I only got headphones on. They, according to my friend who showed them to me, they started off making songs about Sonic the Hedgehog. I have not found any of that to be the case, but he claims it's, and I've only done cursory searches, but he swears that they were they weren't covering Sonic songs, they were making Sonic fan songs kind of thing. Now they have a very bleepy bloopy sound, so it could definitely work for like the OG era of Sonic. But that's not important right now. The point is the songs that I have heard by them, they're just a very upbeat electronic pop duo essentially. And they have a song, I should also clarify, they are just DJs. They aren't singers, so they usually bring people in. And they have a song called Shooting Star featuring Sky Rocket. And it was pitched to me before it started as not quite Angels and Airwaves. And I was like, all right, let me hear it. And I listened to it. I'm like, I could definitely see this being a mixture of Angels and Airwaves and Owl City with a dash of Cash thrown in.
I was waiting for you to say Sonic, because isn't Rocket like someone from Sonic? Or am I just misremembering? I must be thinking of Tails and Knuckles.
Yeah, or like Rocket Raccoon is from Guardians of the Galaxy. No. There's. I'm not going to go down a hedgehog hole right now. No. I'm going to move on. I also just recently saw the last two of the Hobbit movies from that trilogy. Mm-hmm. Side note, yikes. But what's relevant here is Ed Sheeran.
You can't say yikes to Killy.
Yeah, I can.
No.
Yeah, I can. What part about that man is as a dwarf besides his height? Literally nothing. He is a handsome man. Dwarves are bulbous and hairy, and the women have beards too, which is inaccurate in The Hobbit. And I also dislike the character of Toriel for what she represents. Evangeline Lilly signed on to the movie saying, I'll do it, just please don't make me part of a love triangle. Well, guess what they made her do?
Yeah.
Be part of a love triangle that made no sense, and Killy was not any way significant in the books. All of a sudden, they're like, well, let's pick a random dwarf.
Pick
Killy.
the hot one!
No, they had to change him to be more... Oh, my God. And also, Thor in Oakenshield looks a little too much like Aragorn for my liking. I'm like, no, this dude's not supposed to be... Not supposed to look like that.
He did. It was scary. What about the guy that looked more like old Orlando Bloom than Orlando Bloom looked like himself?
Wait, who looked like old Orlando
He was
Bloom?
the guy who did Dracula and Gaston. He was the one who was in the town when the dragon got brought down finally.
Oh,
the one that looks like Orlando Bloom from when he
Luke-
played Pirates of the Caribbean.
Luke Evans?
Yeah.
When he played... That's another thing. Bard the Bowman, who was played by Luke Evans... Bard the Bowman is a throwaway character. When Bilbo, who by the way was not around for the Battle of Five Armies, so the entire third movie doesn't make sense because Bilbo is supposed to be unconscious. When he's supposed to come back from being unconscious and be like, "What happened to Smaug?" Oh, Bard shot him down, and that's it. That's Bard's role in the movie. He did not have a family. He did not save the dwarves and get them out of. The point is, at the end of the desolation of... Oh, I also say Smaug and Sauron. I know it's Smaug and Sauron, but I read the AU as dinosaur, Sauron, Smog.
I say Smog too. I don't care.
Ed Sheeran wrote the theme for that movie called Icy Fire. It's very good. It's Ed Sheeran, Guillermo del Toro. Not Guillermo del Toro, oh my god, he was supposed to do The Hobbit. I think it would have been much better if Peter Jackson showed him the entire movie, and then it was one of those things where Ed's like, okay, then he wrote the entire song that night kind of thing.
Yeah. And
he actually played all the musical instruments in it except for the cello, but even the violin in that song is Ed playing it.
I didn't know that.
He's like, I don't really play violin, but I wanted to put all that I could into it.
It's funny that you brought Ed Sheeran up too, because I just heard it's like a artist check-in on the radio, and they were like, "Hey, you have a new album coming out. Is there someone you always go to like hear your music?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes to Elton John. I guess like when his first album like was a breakout, Elton John rang him up and was like, "Hey, I want to help you." And so now he runs through all of his albums and his singles and like his music through Elton John, and
That's
he like
awesome.
helps critique like
That's
all the
awesome. I
stuff.
love that.
I'm like, oh, and that kind of like it makes sense because a lot of his stuff is so well rounded. It has to come from like an older perspective, and Elton John's been in the business for what, 50 years now,
Something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see kind of like that almost chaperoning where it's like, here, let me help you.
And I could totally see Ed being the kind of guy who will be that mentor for someone if he's not already.
Big agree.
Anyway, Icy Fire is a good song, but it's written to be a dwarven folk song because it's meant to be like the kind of thing you're sitting around a campfire and someone sings about the tales of the past.
Yeah.
And Ed Sheeran does not have a dwarven voice. He is not deep enough or gritty enough. He has a very nice voice, but he should not be doing
It's
a
the
dwarven
voice of an
song.
angel.
Exactly, not the voice of a dwarf. That being said, I like it a lot. I'm not sure it's too good to be in a movie like that.
No, that's the first time I've ever heard someone say that about Ed Sheeran. It's too good to be in a movie like that.
If he released a concept album or something, it doesn't have to be like dwarven. Like this thing ultimately could, if you change a few lyrics around, it could be a song about being on the Oregon Trail, or it could be a song about being in World War One or something like that.
Being a part of the Donner Party.
I mean, yes.
Your face.
You're not wrong, but why?
Just to get that look on your face, you looked so horrified. Oh my god, you didn't even have that look when we watched Morbius. You just looked angry.
I have other thoughts on Morbius, but this isn't about me talking about movies. As much as it could be, we actually counted my shelf. Now, admittedly, I have bought over 50 since this count, but I had like pretty much exactly 800, which hurt my feelings because I thought for sure I had 1,000 by this point.
Holy.
I only have like currently 850. That's so low. I could be doing so much better.
I mean, yeah, but still.
I can't believe it.
That's a lot. That's a lot to move.
I don't know. It'll only take like 4 or 5 boxes of just DVDs.
Jesus Christ. Are you gonna like...
I'm really cool.
Are you gonna organize them by like the Dewey Decimal System, like A, B, C?
Well, see, like they are currently alphabetized. Like all those shelves are all alphabetized within reason. Like my go-to example is the Star Trek reboot series, like the J.J. Abrams Star Trek. I have it as Star Trek, then Star Trek Into Darkness, then Star Trek Beyond. Alphabetically speaking, Beyond should be first, but I view them as Star Trek 1, 2, and 3, so Beyond goes after.
That's fair. I would do the same.
And then places where I break that are like with Star Wars Rogue One, because that's not quite Star Wars 8. Star Wars Episode 8 is Star Wars 8, but I don't want to put it after that, because then I'm going alphabetized, then I'm going chronologically. I have to go like Rogue One, then Solo, and it's just like, no, Rogue One can be in the R's. It's Rogue One, a Star Wars story. This is so not relevant. I had more things to say about Ed Sheeran seeing fire, and I forgot.
Why do I keep doing this to you?
Whatever, I'll move on. I feel like you may have talked about this, at least in passing or something. NF, his mixtape Clouds. Mm-hmm. Do you talk about Clouds at all? If you did, I find a buddy of mine was in town on Friday, and he showed me a couple of tracks from that, and like I like Clouds, I like Lost, but my favorite is Story off that, where he tells a story about him going to a convenience store, a gas station, to get smokes and candy. Then all of a sudden there's a holdup, a stick up. Robbery. My God. For some reason, I went wild west with that. I like it when NF yells. When he all of a sudden is just kind of rapping, and all of a sudden he's like, ah! He's like, oh.
That giggle, though.
So I like that a lot. And then this is something I should have talked about last episode, but I just didn't. So now I'm gonna do it here. The band Costin is a band I've mentioned. I mentioned briefly here and there. They just released their third song. They were a band that originally, where it was a 4-piece band called Bloom, BL00M. Then the fourth person left or was booted. Don't really know. Then the remaining 3 kind of rebranded and started from scratch, essentially. Mm-hmm. I've enjoyed every song they've released since then, and I actually had a minor interaction with them on YouTube.
You are so cool.
I'm basically the next Ryan Seacrest. Okay, so if you want autographs now, it'll only be $2. You're welcome. Anyway, I've been avoiding listening to any of Bloom's music because I really want to just appreciate and thoroughly know the band as they are now, how they want to represent themselves. Like they've talked about being Bloom, but it's like that's not who we are anymore. Now we're Costin. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, I like that. They only have 3 songs out. They are from some small town in Canada, but they've slowly begun getting some modicum of traction. I'm not quite in my hipster phase of, I knew Dermot Kennedy when he only had like a handful of songs out, and now he's a big name. Costin isn't quite at a point where I can brag about knowing them, but I'm. Is it weird to say I'm optimistic for them, just to watch how they grow and stuff like that? Because I voted for them on both my phone and laptop every day I could for some car company's underground artists,
awesome.
Underground Canadian artist kind of thing. No idea if they won yet. I don't think the results have been announced, but like I see a lot of potential in them, especially just from songs 2 to 3. The biggest complaint most people had with their second song they released was that the lead singer's vocal track was mixed so quietly. Yeah. The music sounded good, the lyrics were good, and the vocal melody was good, but she was so quiet in the background it didn't stand out. And this third one, they very clearly, because I even looked at they used the same producer. Like they took that response to heart because her voice is on display, and her voice is even better than what I thought she was capable of doing after hearing that third song. So I'm like, good, like you guys are already growing and like taking it in the community's thoughts on your music and stuff. And I'm just like, anyway, their new song is called Borderline. You should listen to that.
Borderline?
Borderline, yeah. The music video also is very clearly the band having fun. So.
Yeah.
What you just heard was not Borderline. That was someone else's car radio or something.
And a dog that would not shut up. So it's Borderline by
Costin.
Costin. I always want to say caustic, and I'm like, that's Costin, not it.
Oh no. No, Costin. Cawston. It's the town that they live in, I guess, or the town they lived in when they made the band.
I like that.
Yeah. Oh, also Whit Lowry. Into Your Arms by Ava Max. I just found that one recently. It's like 4 years old at this point, but I liked it a lot. I liked Ava's part. Whit's an okay rapper, I guess. Anywho, okay, so one thing that I was going to talk about was smaller music groups, but then actually just from this conversation, it had nothing to do with the conversation, but for some reason my mind went there. I'm just gonna word vomit the concept of like buskers or like street musicians, because I mean one of my favorite musicians is Dermot Kennedy. He got his start busking. He actually was. There's a guy who's pretty famous for busking. I want to say it's the guy who starred in the movie Once, but one day when Dermot was like 13 and had his guitar, he's like, "Hey, you should play this song with me together. You can find the song on the video online. It's pretty cool." But he got to start there, and he just kind of slowly grew, and now Dermot's as big as he is. I know that people like Moon Hooch, the two saxophones and drummer band. They started as buskers in New York City to the point where like they actually had to, like, the cops had to say, you have to stop busking here. Too many people are getting together and dancing. It's becoming an event, and you don't have a permit for that.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
And then also, like, if I'm not mistaken, I swear Andy Grammer, he started as a busker.
I feel like that, but I'm not sure.
He also comes from celebrity. His father's is his dad is someone famous.
Yeah. I just can't think of who.
Regardless, I swear he started in like the streets of New York, and then probably once he was like, hey, I can do music as my thing, maybe like his family's money helped him, or maybe it really was just busking and he is a self-made man. I don't know. But I like the fact that there are so many well-known. Red Grammer is also a musician. Never heard of him before. I assume Andy's bigger. I like the fact that some people can sincerely just be out playing music and be doing it so well that they can make it their living. Kind of like the way, like, I was gonna compare YouTube and filmmaking, but that's not the most accurate. But
even too, I remember you were saying like someone who kind of used social media to their benefit was Ben Monolith.
Dane Cook, yeah.
What?
Anyway, Ben who?
Ben Monolith. It's got to be Monolith.
Well, that's actually a T, so Monteith.
Monteith. Oh, Ben Monteith. Whatever. Okay.
Monolith?
He got super popular because he did the song. Where did I go wrong?
How to Save a Life.
Yeah, How to Save a Life by The Fray. Like, got super popular on Facebook because he would post the videos to Facebook and he would get a lot of likes and shares that way. And it was actually kind of interesting because, one, he sounds really good, and you can see, like, as he sings, like, more people are kind of gathering.
Yeah.
And there's just something about that where you just get to walk by and listen to live music like that, especially from people who are so talented.
I like his guitar.
Yeah.
Also, he's Scottish, so Lord knows how that word is actually pronounced. That name is actually pronounced.
For real. But that and there's another one. It's not 30 Seconds to Mars. Goddamn. They have a song called Going to Mars. Judah and the Lion.
Oh, I love Judah and the Lion.
They started in Nashville, and I know they started in bars, but I would not be surprised if they were also like groups that started kind of like, what's it called? Busking?
Busking, yeah.
On the street in Nashville, because that seems very up their alley.
Yeah, but yeah, with like a folk rock, folk pop group like that.
Yeah.
A folk group like that. So going off that same mindset, Mumford & Sons. Mm-hmm. I actually know, and I'm not sure if they were busking, but they were the kind of people who would just try to play any bar show they could. So they would like travel. In their first album, Sigh No More, I want to say it's called. The clothes that they're wearing in the window front of the cover art, it's actually the clothes that they would travel in. And it was like one of the only sets they actually owned at the time. Oh my
God.
Like, yeah, like their outfits here. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good.
The outfit here. That's actually their clothes for when they were traveling cross country, trying to make it, trying to be a band. Which
that's amazing.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I have to assume. Well, I have to assume they busked.
Yeah.
It's England. People did that in Europe. I mean,
it just, I don't know. You see bands, or you hear certain bands like Mumford & Sons, Judah and the Lion, even groups like Ben, where you're just like, yeah, you can't imagine them kind of not taking the chance to do something like that, I guess.
Yeah. I think also Best Coast, taking it away from the big cities and Europe, Best Coast in California. I'm pretty sure they were. I feel weird calling it busking because usually to me busking is just playing a guitar in the street. But I guess any kind of street musicianship, I'm pretty sure they did the same thing because all they have is guitar and drums. I mean, they play more instruments, but those are the two that the two band members stick with. Who's the other one with two musicians? One of them's a drummer. Matt and Kim. I'm pretty sure they started locally. Again, can't confirm street musicians, but locally playing local venues.
Yeah.
And then they just blew up. I mean, I guess you could consider social media like the millennial busking, like people posting like their music on MySpace, like Breathe Carolina in their early days was 2 kids in their room. Hollywood Undead was 6 grown men in their room.
I remember too. So didn't one of the guys from Hollywood Undead break off because he kept getting in a fight with everyone else, and he was like, "Fine, I'll go do my own music."
Yeah, and his own music's bad.
Well, okay, most of it is bad except for one song I don't mind.
Which one are you gonna say?
America.
Okay, no, I'll give you that. Actually, America's not bad, and like Gravestone, that's not bad. Story of a Snitch isn't bad, but for the most part, I
can't imagine it's very good.
Deuce is a tool.
Yeah.
Of a human being, so it's like I know I'm always saying separate the artist and the art, but sometimes
it's hard sometimes. Yeah,
it is. No, Hollywood Undead's actually the Hollywood Undead that we knew when they first came out is very different from. It's changed so much. Originally, there was a 7th member named Shady Jeff, but he only ever appeared in one song, and it was just yo, Shady Jeff at the mic. Maybe he said like 3 lines and he was gone.
So his name was Shady Jeff.
Shady Jeff, yeah.
No wonder why he didn't stick around.
I remember everyone's favorite musician, Shady Jeff, yeah. Then they had Swan songs. Then they kicked Deuce out because he was always late and on drugs. And even though they were just starting to make money, he already hired a personal assistant who he never used and instead just got high with. So they kicked him out. Then they brought in Danny. Then most recently, I want to say it's only been DeCurls, their original drummer, who left. But he was on good terms. He's like, I had fun with the band, but I'm going to move on and do my own thing.
I mean, they got to be, in their late 40s now?
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been 16 years, so.
I sort of, they must have been close to their 30s when I found them.
Yeah.
So, like.
Yeah. I actually just, not too long ago, I looked up Hollywood Undead, and I looked up the evolution of their masks, because they've actually changed a fair amount. But, yeah, you can kind of tell the more money they got, the nicer masks they could make. Kind of like, hey, we can actually invest a little bit into this, into our stage personas.
Yeah.
Charlie actually has a mask now, as opposed to just a bandana. Did you know his original? Charlie's scene.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, he was the only one who didn't have a mask. He had sunglasses and a bandana over his mouth. And originally, it was an In-N-Out bag that was. He didn't even have an actual bandana. He had to use an In-N-Out bag to cover his mouth, which is why in the music video for number 5, his mask looks so weird.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he didn't even have a bandana. Walmart was selling them for like $1, dude.
Yeah, but In-N-Out was in the room already.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't.
Oh my god.
No, I actually like that comparison I made. The social media being like the equivalent to busking, because I mean, especially in MySpace, or I set my friends on fire. They were also a MySpace band. When you could sincerely just stumble, like go to someone's page, and then music would start playing right away. It's like, oh, what's this song? I've never heard this before. Just like walking by in the street and hearing someone play music. It's like, oh, okay, what's this? Of course, there's a difference. One of them's live, one of them's still recorded. But I
mean, you have live streams and stuff like that now that people are kind of utilizing, especially on TikTok with that ABC song, or the people like, okay, like I'll do the chorus, you guys like fill it in sort of deal.
Yeah.
Like that's becoming more and more popular, but it's also getting more and more people engaged like they would be if they were just walking down the street and they knew the song.
And then there's like celebrities who are doing that exact same thing. Like Charlie XCX, her album How I'm Feeling Now, from the middle of quarantine, she produced that with her fans. She would stream music, and they'd be like, oh, I think you could do this, I think you could do this. Of course, she also had producers helping her like put people's thoughts into fruition. But
I still think that's kind of a cool way of like Frankensteining an album that works and is like well put together for the fans, because it's also by the fans.
Yeah. I wish modern day social media would have like pages where, like, kind of like the MySpace days, when When your page was essentially a bedroom. Okay.
Bro, I'm cringy enough.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but still, I think it could be fun. Can you imagine going to someone's Insta and hearing a song? That'd be kind of neat.
What would mine be? See, there's so many songs, I don't know what I'd pick.
Would it not be Clarity?
Oh, that's a good one.
Like, I mean, that's kind of like one of the quintessential Danny songs.
Yeah, but it would have to be like the rock version of Clarity, just to kind of scare people a little bit.
Of course.
Of course.
Mine would probably be Everything's Magic. Although, you know, I'd be that tool online who like takes it too seriously, and I'm like, well, that is my favorite song, but I should do something that makes it feel more comfortable, like kind of thing you could like listen to in the background while you're scrolling through my 3 Instagram posts. I don't know.
That's funny though.
Is MySpace still around?
I don't know. That was before my time.
Is Tom still my friend?
Is Tom?
Did that Tom? You know Tom from MySpace. He was everyone's friend when you made an account. Tom was already your friend.
Oh really? That's so sweet.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you about my MySpace page, which I had for like a week before Facebook became a thing?
No.
I did 2 things on MySpace. I posted 2 pictures. Keep in mind I was 12. No, I was 13. Maybe I was 12. I was young. I posted 2 pictures, one to be my profile picture and one to just be like a background image for my MySpace page of Sonic the Hedgehog. It's weird how much I talk about him nowadays. I swear to God, I used to go like a year without mentioning Sonic's name to anybody, and now he's like way too relevant.
Now you want to hear something funny?
Here we go.
So I remember it was a few episodes ago. We were talking about Yu-Gi-Oh for some reason.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, oh, I want to watch Yu-Gi-Oh 5D because that was my favorite of the Yu-Gi-Ohs. Because they are on motorcycles and it's cool. Anyway, so I found it on Hulu.
Nice.
So Ty and I started watching it, and without missing a beat, the intro song came on, and I just looked at him like really aggressively and started singing it.
And you knew all the lyrics.
And he looked so scared. It's funny that things like that just don't leave your head. You think it's gone. Like, you're like, it's been literally the last time I heard that I must have been like fucking, I don't know, 10 at my grandma's house.
Yeah.
And like, this is what? How old am I? So this is like almost 15 years later, and it's still bouncing around my head.
There was a Calvin and Hobbes comic strip. All it was with Calvin's parents. His dad's sitting down, and he gets up and kind of pauses. Then he goes in the kitchen to talk to Calvin's mom, and he goes, why is it I can remember a cigarette ad jingle from 25 years ago, but I can't remember what I just got up to do?
Honestly.
It's like, yeah, no, I get that. A song that I heard years ago that didn't think about forever, but now for some reason is in my life daily because of how often I sing it, is that old viral video, The Duck Song.
No, really?
I regularly will ask B, got any grapes? She has shoved me out of bed. I swear, because I had no, like one time I texted her just first thing in the morning. I was like, hey. She goes, hi, got any grapes? Bum, bum, bum.
Oh my God.
There are certain things that should never be reawakened. Yours is much better because yours is an actual piece of media, and mine's a duck.
And yours is a duck. Oh,
Out of curiosity, though, are you enjoying the show, watching it again?
Yeah, it's very weird seeing something that you kind of like almost looked up to as a kid. Because when I was like 10, I'm like, I'm gonna have a motorcycle, and I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and he's so cool.
Out of curiosity, in 5Ds, do they talk about believing in the heart of the cards? Is that a thing, or is that only from the original series?
I think they try and keep that very original,
Okay.
but they do say like the heart is in the cards.
Oh boy,
Like
okay,
that
good.
is something they do kind of reference.
I only watched the original series and like a few episodes of GX. That when 5Ds came out, I was gone, and Zexel and whatever the most recent one is, not there anymore.
This was like, they did the one spinoff and everyone's like, it's fine. And then they did the other spinoff and everyone's like, all right. And they're like, okay, we got one more chance. And then they came out with 5Ds and I was like, the music is so, like, people, it must have been a lot of the original people because it has the same feeling as the original.
Okay.
And like, but the storyline is just so out there. And I'm like, it was so much fun to watch as a kid. And even now I'm just like, yeah, this isn't bad at all. Like, it holds up, which is very
Okay.
rare for cartoons to kind of do. Because, like...
So I'm gonna change gears here and be kind of geeky for once.
What?
I can't help but wonder if it has to do with the actual card game fan base, because 5Ds also changed the meta of the game. Like it added. Oh my god, I'm gonna die. It added new rules to the cards. Like I can't remember what 5Ds added. I know it was significant, but I know it was Zexal that added XYZ forms, XYZ cards or something like that. But 5Ds changed the gameplay a bit. I wonder if that actually like impacted it at all.
I know it stressed my cousin out. Because that...
Stressed your cousin out.
Yeah, because I kept all of my cards because of him when he would come to visit us. And 5Ds is when they started doing more fuzzy animals for some reason. I can't remember why. They were super techy or super like forest cuddly. I don't know. So I would get some of the techie and the higher up dragons, and I would literally trade these higher up dragon cards so I could get the cutest, fluffiest cards from his deck. And I regret nothing because they are so fucking cute. I know it's somewhere in my closet. I'd have to dig it out.
Danny would trade the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon for Karibo.
Okay, I wouldn't go that far. I might keep Blue Eyes. It's kind of cute.
You
He was so upset.
you would trade like Black Hole or well, Jar of Greed is ass and you can't even play it competitively. You would trade them for like Dark Magician Girl.
I have Dark Magician Girl.
And admittedly, she isn't an awful card by any means, but
I got this little like coffin looking thing. It's a little tin, and it has the Dark Magician Girl over it. And one of the cards that you got in it was Dark Magician Girl. So
Nice.
I got that, and I think I actually do have the Dark Magician as well.
out of curiosity, what's the art? Is he in a black outfit or the purple one from the show?
I think he's in the purple outfit.
Okay, that's cool.
I think it's like one of the older cards.
Well, that would be relatively newer then.
Then it's a newer one?
Okay, admittedly, I shouldn't be talking about this like I'm a scholar, but no, Dark Magician's original design was way more goth.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, no, he was.
I remember it. I think mine has the purple on it.
Yeah, he was more like. I mean, these aren't the best colors, but yeah, he had more like this design with black and red and stuff.
Oh, yeah, no, mine definitely. I think it's more the purpley one.
Guy.
Yep, that's
Okay.
mine.
Well, hey, that's still a good outfit. Purple's a great color. So.
Purple's a great color. But anyway, okay, so before we wrap this up, there was a few small group songs that people have been sending to me. And so this is their limelight highlight. Oh, I like that. That has a ring to it. Limelight highlight. It's only because I'm recycling light. Anyway.
Just bear with me, guys. Trust me, she does have good opinions.
All right, so the first one is The Lone Wolf and their cover of Take Me to Church, which I think was really well done. I also really like that song, so having like someone kind of change up the vocals of it, because Hozier has such like a haunting vocal like capability. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of cool seeing someone else kind of try it and see how it turns out, and I think it didn't change the song too much, but it definitely added a little bit more depth to it in a different way, which I really liked. American Teenager by Ethel Cain, the easiest name I've ever seen in my life. Thank you. It kind of has early Halsey vibes to it, which is funny that we started out talking about Halsey.
Yeah.
And then we came to this one where she definitely has that same kind of light vocals. I think you would even like her. Like, just a very, like, cutesy kind of indie, but also, like, very grounded and emotional.
Okay.
So I think it's definitely a good thing to look up. And what is it? It's not really a music video. It's like
a visualizer.
Yeah. It's just her walking around this park, and it's just like, it brings back very nostalgic vibes with it as well. So it's kind of a really well-rounded kind of project. And then Fiji Blue by Outside. Just a cute little song that I've been holding. Blue. So, but yeah, so those are kind of like some of the little things that Yeah, people send to me, and then I kind of get stuck on a loop of listening to them.
Yeah.
So this weekend has been really great in terms of finding new music or finding more music for me to hoard like Smog. So see, we're connecting everything that we've talked about. Now we just got to throw in a Sonic thing and a 5D, and we're great.
So Listen to This is looking for a new co-host. If you're interested, contact Alexa. No. That's cool. I like that. Whether it's related to the show or not, I like that our friends send us music because most of my friends know about this show. A handful of them listen to it, but
Hi guys.
it almost for me internally it like validates my musical opinion when someone's like, "This song's good. I should show it to Alex or I should show it to Danny."
I know, I love it because someone was like, you should do like a small. Actually, it was my brother. He's like, you should do like an episode where you just focus on like small groups and stuff. And I'm like, that's actually super adorable that like so much of my family is like getting involved with it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, thanks, guys.
Yeah. Shout out to Danny's fam.
The Miller clan.
I wasn't sure if we had ever said your last name before.
There's so many fucking Millers in the world, dude.
Yeah.
They're never gonna find me.
You've just made it a challenge. Make sure to dox and swat the Millers, okay?
No, don't do that.
No, okay. Anyway, but yeah, that about wraps up this show. It was very much as it was definitely word vomit. Yeah, we talked about small music groups, but it was very much just us riffing off of each other there.
Yeah,
so I think
definitely listen to the intro song to 5Ds and you'll understand what I mean. Such a good song.
Maybe I should. Maybe I should use that as this episode's intro. Where is this episode's song?
Oh my god, dude!
That'd be
Please,
cool.
it's so good.
That'd be cool. Okay, but yes. So this is episode 10. We have one more standard episode. Then the special season finale will be out. The secret project I'm working on is going swimmingly, and will probably be present. Probably towards the end of July, if I had to guess. But we'll see how that goes. Yeah, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, subscribe to us on YouTube.
Yeah, that's very important.
And we'll see y'all next time.
Bye.